Hi, this is Sweet June. How's everybody doing today? Coming back at you with another interesting video topic. Can't wait for the sun to shine up here in Michigan. Can't wait for the springtime to actually come. It actually snowed over the weekend, but it didn't stick. But snow, yeah, sometimes it snows in April and sometimes even in May here in Michigan. So I am ready for the warm weather to come. Ready for the warm weather. Hope everybody is doing great today. I want to talk about. Um, I've done videos on here talking about single motherhood. I consider myself an expert at single motherhood because, well, I spent many years being a single mother. So I consider myself an expert on the subject. And I've talked a lot about single motherhood on here and basically just be trying to tell the young ladies, just trying to school the young ladies and let the young ladies know that single motherhood is not what it's cracked up to be, and that's what I'm trying to do is kind of just school the young ladies, let the young ladies know, hey, babies can wait. You know, single motherhood is just not what it's cracked up to be. You know, you fare so much better if you wait. You know, um, so what I want to that brings me to my current topic of what I want to talk about is when you are a single mother, particularly when you become a single mother at a young age, um, you the problem, the issue, the problem with becoming a single mother at a young age is that you don't get the opportunity to really, because when you're young, coming into a young adulthood, you really don't know who you are. You're trying to make that transition from childhood to adulthood. That transition is very difficult. So that is really not the good time to have children because they say the brain doesn't stop growing until the age of 25. Did you know that? Did you know that the brain does not stop growing to the age of 25? So that means um, once you turn 18, from 18 to 25, you're still basically a child, in your mind, in your brain. And so you're still developing mentally and, trying to make that transition, try to find out who you are and what you want out of life and make that transition from childhood to adulthood. It can be very difficult. It can be a very difficult time. And then when you add a child into the mix, in the midst of doing all those things, a lot of young women run into problems when they add a child into that scenario. Because what happens is that you're trying to figure out who you are and try to adapt and figure out what you want in your life and everything like this. And then next thing you know, boom, you have a baby. Okay, now you have this other life that you have to worry about. And then sometimes, I know I had my oldest son at the age of 22, and at that time I was just starting to go to college. Um, I was just started living on my own and just started going to college and trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And I had initially I wanted to be an actress because I did it in high school. And then once I did it in high school, it was like I really wanted to do it. It was something that I wanted to do for the rest of my life. And when I graduated high school, that was actually what I wanted to do. I wanted to be an actress in the entertainment industry. But, I wanted to be an actress. I wanted to go to New York and get on Broadway and all that good stuff. But then I was going to go to school and get my degree first, or go through college first, and then go from there. Well, I wound up getting pregnant with my oldest son. And when I got pregnant with my oldest son, then I got pregnant with him at 22. And before I got pregnant with him, I kind of flunked out of school because I started seeing his dad. And then plus I was trying to work and go to school full time. And then that wasn't working out for me. And started seeing his dad. And next thing you know, bam, I got pregnant at 22 years old. So now I'm trying to go through a process of figuring out what I want, and all this kind of stuff. And then basically got sidetracked, got involved with my son's dad, got sidetracked. And then I had my son. Okay, now I had this other life that I had to think about other than myself. It wasn't just about me anymore. I had to think about this other life. Now, when I started raising and take care of my son, then, well, I had my primary concern was raising my son and taking care of my son. And then at 32, I got pregnant with my youngest. So I'm not saying you can't pursue things when you have kids. You can, but it's very difficult. And I went to college for many, many years while I was raising my kids, but it was very difficult. I was able to only take 2 classes at a time because I'm not one of those people that can go to school full time, plus be a single mother, plus work full time and all that. Because even when I was single, I tried going to school full time and working, and it just didn't work out. I winded up flunking out. So I just wasn't one of those people that could do it. I didn't want to put that kind of pressure on myself. So I would take 2 classes at a time, and I did that for many years. Literally did it for many years. I started back to school when my youngest son was 2, and all the way up, maybe minus 2 years to 2013. Um, Winded up not getting my bachelor's degree. That's another story. I think I've already shared that on here. And so basically, I had 2 kids that I had to. When you have a child, what happens is when you have a child, that child becomes your main focus because it's not about you anymore, and you have this other life that you have to worry about. So let's say you want to travel. Well, you can't travel if you can, but it's very difficult because children need stability. Children need stability, so you really can't be jet setting all over the place with a young child. They need stability. So that you have to every decision that you make, you have to factor that child into those decisions. Like I thought about leaving the state at one time. Well, then I had to think, okay, well, what about childcare? What about the schools? And what about this? And it was so many things that I had to think about. It became so overwhelming to me to the point to where I just said, forget about it. I just stay here in Michigan and raise them until they get grown. Because, I mean, it was just thinking about all that stuff just became so overwhelming to me that I know people do it. I know people uproot families all the time, but I just the thought of having all those thoughts, the thinking about childcare, schools, not having a support system, and all this kind of stuff of things that you have to think about when you relocate, getting a job, finding a place to live, and it just became so overwhelming to me, and I didn't know what to do. So I said, well, forget about it. I guess I'm just going to be stuck here until my kids get grown. So everything that you planned on doing before you had children, not saying you still can't accomplish those goals because people have done it, but it's very difficult. It's very difficult because when you have a child, you have to put that child's needs first, and that child's needs has to come before yours. So my point that I'm getting to is this: have a life before you make one. Okay? This is the reason why you need to put off having children until, some women have them clear into their 40s. There's nothing wrong with having children in your 40s. Lots of women can safely, used to be back in the day, medical technology is so advanced now that they can do all kind of things and test on you and all that kind of stuff. And it used to be back in the day, women, something would be wrong with the child if A woman had a baby in her 40s, but nowadays women can give birth to healthy babies in their 40s. And some people, women have in their 50s, which I wouldn't recommend waiting that long. I mean, hey, Janet had one, she was 50. I wouldn't recommend having one in your 50s, but hey, she had her career. She had her career that she had to think about, and there was probably a time when she probably wasn't even ready to have a child because she was so focused on her career and trying to get her career established and everything. And she wanted to probably be in a certain place in her life, and maybe wanted to get a suitable husband and all that, which didn't wind up not working out with the husband. But hey, at least she waited until she got married. So, hey, it worked. Whatever, hey, that in her situation, it was probably what was best because now she's more focused. She gets focused, devote more. She's got the money and the finances to devote more time to motherhood and raising her son and taking care of him. Whereas when she was younger, she probably would have been so focused on her career, she wouldn't have had the proper time to devote to a child. See, now she's more older, she's more settled. Her career is already established, and she's already established as an artist. So if she don't put no record out for 5 years, everybody know Janet Jackson is the bomb. Everybody's still gonna know Janet Jackson is the bomb. You know what I'm saying? Because she's established herself in her career. So, but I wouldn't recommend having them in your 50s. But a lot of women wait until their 30s, 50s, 40s, to have kids. There's nothing wrong with that. There is nothing wrong with waiting until you are in your 30s and 40s. And whatever it is that you want to do, like when you graduate from high school, and whatever it is that you want to do in your life, go ahead and pursue that. Pursue those things. If you want to travel, do that, because when you don't have any children, you can do all those things. You just have yourself to worry about. You don't have this other life that you have to think about. It is a huge, huge difference. A huge difference. Now, I know this young lady on here named Jayla Corinne. You guys ever watched her channel? Man, I live vicariously through this young lady. This young lady is only 25 years old. She's very smart. She's got her own little business going. Plus, she got her YouTube channel. YouTube channel's doing pretty good. She living in New York. She got a fat apartment. I mean, Jayla Corinne, if I'm pronouncing her name right, go check her channel out. My girl is living. My girl is living her life. I'm like, I live vicariously through her when I watch her videos. I'm like, wow. She got her a beautiful place in New York. She and she doesn't have any kids. And she enjoys her life. She travels and she blogs. When she travels, she blogs. She kind of pretty much blogs her life. And it's just so exciting to watch her videos. It's just so interesting and exciting because I see this young lady, and this young lady has no kids. She doesn't have any kids, and she is just living her life. And I'm saying, see, that's what a lot of these young ladies need to be doing. I mean, she's very smart. She said she want to wait till she's in her 30s to and get married, to start a family. The young lady is smart. The young lady is on top of it. And she's doing very successful. She's doing good. She's enjoying her life. The important thing is that she is enjoying her life. She's not tied down with a bunch of kids at 25 years old. She's living her life. She's living her dreams. She's doing the things that she wants to do. And that's the way I think these young people should be doing. Because when you have a child, like I said, I had dreams of becoming an actress, and I know it's never too late, but all those things got derailed. I had to put them on the back burner once I started having kids. And so that's because when you have a child, that child becomes your focus. If you can't neglect, this is another human being you brought into the world. You can't neglect the child. You can't just go off and do what you want to do and kick the child to the curb. That's called being a bad mommy. This is another human being that you brought here or that you helped bring here. And a lot of times the fathers don't want to be bothered. You know, you hook up with the wrong guy, they don't want to be bothered. You know, in a lot of cases, these young ladies are not hooking up with the right guys. And children need both parents. And if the father is not there, then you darn sure better well be there. You know, as a mother. And so, whatever it is that you wanted to do or whatever, getting a college education, that was one of the things that I thought that was an attainable goal at the time when I was raising my kids. So that's what I focused on. I winded up not graduating, but me having kids didn't have anything to do with me not graduating, but other circumstances. But that was the thing that was the goal that I felt like I could achieve while I was raising my kids. That was the goal that I felt was attainable, that was a possibility to achieve while raising my kids. Some of the other things that I wanted to do, not so much. I didn't think it was so attainable. I know people do it, but I didn't feel like it was at that particular time when I was raising my kids. And so, but it's so important. It's so vital that, particularly from the age of 18 to 25, you're still trying to figure out who you are and what you want out of life and all this kind of stuff. It is not really not a good time to have children. I would not recommend anybody having children under the age of 25. I wouldn't recommend it. I honestly would not recommend that, because you really do need to have a life before you make one. You know, get your education, get yourself established in your career. And like I said, you need about 6 figures before to raise kids nowadays. Everything is so expensive. You know, people people don't think that's a reality. You need about 6 figures, almost 6 figures, to raise kids nowadays. Yes, raising children is very expensive. And you can't rely on the government, because you see what they're doing. They're cutting Section 8, they're cutting all these government programs, and you can't count on the government. And the best thing to be is self-sufficient. And I know this young lady, she is living her life. I got 2 nieces. One is in her 30s and one is in her 20s. I'm so proud of those young ladies. I am so proud of my nieces. They must have took a good look at my life and said, not going that route. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I don't know if they did or not, but I am so proud of those young ladies. I am so proud of my nieces. My youngest niece, she's got a master's degree, and she's living in California. She doesn't have any kids. She's living her life. She's enjoying her life. She's doing the things that she wants to do. She's accomplishing her goals. I am so proud of her. I am so proud of her. My oldest niece, she's working on her degree. I think she's working on it, or she got it, or either one or the other. And she's living her life, and she's enjoying her life, and not tied down with any children. And I'm proud of both of my nieces. I'm so glad that I'm so happy that they didn't get caught up in that. To be perfectly honest, I am so happy that my nieces didn't get caught up in that, getting knocked up at a young age by the wrong guy, and then strapped down with 2, 3 kids or whatever, or more, God forbid. And then whatever dreams that they had, they're not fulfilling those dreams. They're not doing those things. They're not living their life. They're not doing the things that they want to do. And I just think that is so important. I just think it's so important. And I'm always a big advocate of waiting, doing things God's way, waiting on God, and waiting until you get a suitable mate. And a lot of these young ladies are not patient. They don't have any patience. And sometimes you don't, when you're young, like I said, your brain is still growing. You don't have the maturity to really, or the wisdom to really know know what you want and what you need, or even know your worth. Sometimes you don't learn your worth until much later in life. I didn't learn my worth until I was in my 30s. I didn't truly learn my worth as a woman until my 30s. And then I learned my worth and what as a woman. And sometimes it doesn't happen until later on. And sometimes when you're young like that, you just don't make sound decisions as far as mates and stuff. Particularly if you grew up without a father. You don't but as you get older, you get wiser. You know, you're more mature mentally. You are able in a position to make better choices, I think, so to speak. And so you're in a much better mental place when you're older than it is when you're younger. When you're younger, you tend to make bad judgments, because you just haven't lived long enough to really gain that wisdom and that knowledge. And sometimes you need to get to a certain place to where you can gain that knowledge and maturity. Then you can make better decisions as far as a mate, you know, and everything. And I always recommend that, finding a suitable mate, getting married, you know. Well, let him find you. Don't find him, but let him find you. Getting married, and like I said, you're in a better position to make better choices. But that's basically what I'm saying. Have a life before you make one. Because when you're young, and I hate to see these young ladies strapped down under the age of 25, strapped down with 3, 4 kids, God forbid more. And the more children that you have at a young age, if you're not financially prepared, if you're not financially stable, the more children that you have, the more deeper it sinks you into poverty. People don't realize that. People don't understand that. The more children that you have, it sinks you deeper into poverty. It makes it even that much more difficult for you to get out of poverty when you have, particularly when you have them at a young age, you haven't had a chance to establish yourself career-wise or financially, and then you wind up having kids. Now there are some rare cases where young ladies have kids. Yeah, Kylie Jenner. Kylie Jenner is a rare case. She's a billionaire and she's not even 25 yet. But well, she come from money though. She's a different situation. She come from money. She was born with a silver spoon in her mouth. She come from a rich family. So she already had made. The thing with Kylie Jenner is she was already given the tools to succeed. She was already given those tools. They say it's a big debate going on whether she's self-made, because they call her a self-made billionaire or whatever. And then there's been a big debate in the blogs of, well, self-made is when you struggle from the bottom and work your way on up without any assistance. Like her family, and people saying her family helped her and stuff, and she's saying, well, no, my family cut me off and I had to do this on my own. And that could very well be true. I'm not discrediting her efforts or anything. I'm very proud of the young lady. But the thing is that she was given, the difference is between her and the average young lady at her age, is that she was given the tools. She had other successful people in her family that she could model herself after. She was given the tools to succeed. She was given the tools to succeed, and yes, she did have a certain advantage. She had certain advantages that your average person wouldn't have, but she was also given the tools to be successful. That's what happens in rich families, because she had everybody else in the family is successful and got successful businesses, so she was given those tools, and that's the difference. But when you grow up in poverty, in most cases, these young ladies are growing up in poverty. Well, when you grow up in poverty, you're gonna have a certain mindset, and you're not gonna have the proper tools to succeed, to accomplish your goals. You're not going to have those proper tools. That's not going to be taught to you or learned to you, because everybody around you is in poverty. You're coming up in poverty. Everybody around you is in poverty. So everybody know, and I'm gonna actually stay tuned. We'll do a video talking about that, the poverty mindset. Because there is a mindset to poverty. When you're in poverty, it's a mindset. And it's very, very difficult to get out of that mindset. And so when you don't have the proper tools to do A, B, and C, you're just kind of doing what people, with your family members and everybody else has always done, and that's depend on the system. Everybody know we can't do that. Then that's what people wind up doing, and they wind up staying in that poverty mindset, and it becomes a vicious cycle. And so that's what I like to say. That's what I like to encourage the young ladies to please have a life before you make one. Have one before you make one. There's nothing wrong with waiting until your 30s or even 40s to have children. Lots of women do it. And they're at a much better place. When a woman has a baby at an older age, she is in a much better place in her life. She is a much better place mentally. In most cases, women are in a better place mentally, emotionally, financially, in every aspect of the word. I mean, in every aspect, they're in a much better place than what they would have been if they were younger. And God forbid some of these young ladies have these babies and they put them off on a relative. They put them off on their mother or their grandmother or whatever, because they out there living their life when they could have been doing that if they had never had. Now, I'm not advocating abortion on here. Do not get me twisted, because you guys know I do not believe in abortion. I am not advocating abortion. I'm advocating not getting that way in the first place. That's what I'm advocating. Because I don't believe in abortion. That ain't what I'm advocating. I'm advocating not getting pregnant in the first place. There's too many ways to prevent it. Too many ways to prevent pregnancy. And I'm always going to say, I'm always going to preach abstinence. Abstinence is the best birth control there is, because even if you are taking birth control, it can fail. So I'm going to always suggest abstinence and abstain until you get married. Do things Jehovah God's way, and if you do it God's way, you can never go wrong. You can never go wrong if you do it His way. Women are in a much better place when they have children when they're older. You guys check out the channel, Jayla. Her name is Jayla Corinne. Check her out. My girl is on top of it. My girl, I had to give her a shout out. My girl is on top of it. I'm telling you, I live vicariously through this young lady. She blogs her. Because New York is on my bucket list anyway. I haven't been yet, but I'm planning on going. And she lives in New York, and she has a beautiful apartment. She just moved to another beautiful apartment, and she's got her own business going on. My girl is bad. If I had her brains when I was 25, man. Of course, she has an online business thing going on. They didn't have all that back when I was 25, but nevertheless, if I had that kind of entrepreneurial spirit at that age, man, it's the things I could have been doing by now. This young lady she's living up to her fullest potential. She's living up to her fullest potential, and the most important thing is that she's enjoying her life. She's enjoying her life. She ain't tied down with a bunch of babies. And she says, yes, she does plan on getting married and starting a family when she's in her 30s. But right now, she's enjoying her life. Man, I'm proud of this young lady, and I'm proud of my nieces too. Both of them. This theory that all black young ladies have kids, that shoots that stereotype right out the door. Because there's a lot of young black women that do not have kids, and they're doing the thing. They doing that thing. Okay, but they're never talked about. The focus is always put on the ones that do have kids. Everybody. We all know how that goes. Black woman can't catch a break no matter what. And anyway, anywho, let me know in the comment section what you think about what I just talked about, what I said. What do you think about it? Do you think young ladies should wait, have a life before they make one? If you're one of the people that waited to have children, I want to know. I want to talk to you. Put your comments in the comment section. Let me know if you were glad that you waited, or if you don't have any kids at all. Whatever. Let me know in the comment section whatever the situation is. Please like and subscribe to my channel. I'm trying to get up to that 1,000 mark so I can monetize again. Okay, so like and please subscribe. Stay tuned. I have some more interesting video topics coming up. Peace and love. Sweet Jill.